Can I just? I'll answer that. Hello, you. I'm sweating hot, and that you just missed me going absolutely nuts here in Oxford. So I'm sorry I didn't actually catch it on my live stream, my own live stream. I do apologize. My niece Taylor is going to be watching this, which is awesome for me because it's great to have a family member paying some sort of attention to this. I'm just talking to a gentleman here who's asked me some kind of questions from the I really don't want to believe that it's true, that I've been lied to. What was your question again, sir?
I asked you what do you think the purpose of the ISS is?
Deception.
What do you think the purpose of the ISS is?
Deception. It's all deception. It's all to maintain the integrity of the lie, of the spherical Earth lie. Yeah, because you see, most people on Earth weren't really to buy the modern theoretical science that we could. Hold on. Until they weren't ready to buy the modern theoretical science that we were living on a ball until NASA started giving us images, right? So those images, hold on, bro, you're just kind of moving by. I'm giving you fucking huge information here. Now you need to take this shit on board or stop wasting my time, okay? You're wasting my time. Anybody else? Oh, I recognize your face even. Where do I know you from? You're an American dude. Oh, okay. One of my favorite places in the world. I've only been there one day, truth be told. But, yeah.
Where did you go?
Just through Detroit. Detroit, it touches the border of Canada.
Yeah.
There's a little town there.
Yeah,
I went through there. I had a medical need. This was 1988, and I had a medical need, and I couldn't afford to go to a doctor in America, so I'll go over to Canada where it would be free. So, just making, you got to do what you got to do. Have you? Canada's a massive country, and it's one of those interesting oddities on this Earth of ours, because there's so many reaches of it that we've never really kind of got our head around. Sections of it that are unknown to us. But you've come across this before, or is this a first time for you?
I've heard of this
recently, or a long time ago.
Within the past year.
Okay, that's becoming more common. I mean, a lot of people who've kind of come across it. When I first brushed it up against it, I sort of pushed it aside because it didn't seem at all credible, and it's too big a lie to continue without. I thought all of those things, but for me, because I love maths, the thing that really caught my attention was the curvature formula, which is apparently 8 inches in the mile squared according to Pythagoras. So with that in hand, I was like, shit, what are the numbers, man? And why, if I look across great reaches of distance, that I can see things that really should be behind that bending curve of a ball, So that was my biggest kind of, that caught my attention. And then, of course, sorry, carry on. No, I was going to say, and then, of course, it's the old business of water being level, as I was saying earlier, water always finds its level. And we're expected to believe that when a ball gets big enough, it's going to start pulling water to it. I'm hearing. I'm just going to film this young man. Do you mind if I film? I'm on YouTube. I've got about 7 viewers and about 8 followers.
No, it's just that in geography we learn that, and then you can see it that in a test tube, it's not exactly flat. You have to measure from the lowest point. So it's not like that. It's convex.
Well, we use water to measure everything that's level in spirit levels. That's what we use water for. So water is always level.
Happy days. Man, I just let Oxford hear that I was here. It was quite an intense thing. It actually caused me to sweat. Would you believe? Hello, friend. How are you? I'm good, thanks. I hope you don't mind. I've got my little YouTube channel running here.
Carry on, absolutely. Interesting.
Have you heard of this before today?
A bit of a flat earth theory.
Yeah.
Nothing like this.
Okay. Yeah. We got some Disney boys here. Huh? The Disney kids. Yeah. You got water that bends? You got any water that bends? So I was gonna say you've come across this a bit.
Not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something I've just caught my eye. I think it'd be interesting to read what you're.
Okay. Well, I've got loads of theories about how the world really might work, but there's lots that I don't know. I'm willing to acknowledge that. But I admit now that when I used to take gravity and relativity and light years and black holes and the vastness of outer space and so on, I used to take that sort of on faith that those things are real. And lots of good scientists were establishing this stuff, and they had their whole credibility and their whole reputation on the line. So that was where I was just 3 or 4 years ago, and all of that was shaken when I started to see things that I'd never been told before. Things like the way that 9/11 went down. That's an event that isn't at all, turns out, like I'm told by the BBC. Now, I'm glad to hear you've looked at that. Now, so for me, coming to that realization, because I'd actually supported the second Iraq invasion. When Blair said, "I'm going to war again with Saddam," I'd had Iraqi refugees live with me in Cape Town in 1993, so I was sympathetic to the anti-Saddam rhetoric that they'd given me. Okay, but even though I don't necessarily agree with any of it now, I'm just saying that's where my mind was at. And so when they went to war, I kind of thought, okay, I can see why, and I kind of went along with that. So just to give you a little bit of background on me, then I found out just 4 years ago that ISIS was being funded by the Americans, and that 9/11 wasn't what we were told, that.
You think, what do we really?
Yeah. And how are our beliefs of the outside world shaped? But by the media that we absorb and the cultural norms that we're within. So for me, I'd been very much I take my news from the mainstream sources, Al Jazeera, etc., and thought I knew what was going on, had a balanced view, and so on. But it turns out that politics is all a franchise game. Every government is a franchise of some control system. It's absolutely, and everybody's. Well, it continues. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think those are the sort of, if you like, the first level or second level reasons for all of this. But it turns out for me that there's much more, and that's why it matters for me that people realize that firstly they can't be living on a spinning ball. That makes no sense. And once you start to get your senses back, you start to make more sense of the world that you're in and who you are within this world and what your place is within this world. And I've started saying recently to my friends that I think that the uncapped pyramid that we're often shown as the Illuminati symbol is uncapped because they're keeping us off the top. That we are the top of the pyramid. All of humankind. There is no... there is no them. I mean, in humanity we are all divided by this, that, and the other idea. But in fact, we are just one creation, and something has caused a division. I'm hard at speculating exactly what that is. Right? People characterize it as evil or Rothschilds or the royals or whatever, reptiles or whatever. There's aliens. Yeah. So I try and keep an open mind, but I'm not fixed on any one outcome. I just know that actually we must be the main attraction, which is why they've gone to such lengths to keep us messed up in the mind and body and soul. Correct. Divided from ourselves. And the more I spend my time shopping here in this Westgate shopping centre here, interested in the clothing and the jewellery that they have to sell there, then the less time I've got for my own inner work, my own inner self. And and there's myriad attractions to keep one busy. And torn from one's own self and self-worth. Because it becomes identified by the footballer's name or the football club or the clothing, the label.
Associate itself with
So yeah, I mean, this is for me is the reason why I feel almost, because I've never been into religion. I was kind of anti-religion, and in fact I was happy to read that the Bible was a flat earth book when I was 12, 13, 14. I was telling my preacher it's a flat earth book, so I'm not even going to bother with it. It's so out of touch, because my science teacher's absolutely right that gravity, that water can cling to the outside of a spinning ball. So I went along with that, and so I wasn't into religion or spirituality or anything like that. But this truth has given me that purpose and that sense that, wow, we are all so wonderfully important, and that if there's any value that I can bring to beyond my own life, and that is to help others go and find their life in the way that a churchgoer or a Jehovah's Witness or any other religious person would try and perhaps encourage somebody else to find that faithful way, that spiritual way. Here, what I think is slightly different, or quite different, is that there's no intermediary, there's no intercessory, there's no, you are the creator, You are that Jesus. You are that Muhammad. You are that. The Allah is all in you. It's all within you. And if you can expand on that, or if you can build on that, then cheapers, I think you will be a rich person in the soul, and other things will just fall in line as they should do. Cool.
Can I have a YouTube channel?
Yeah. I actually, thank you. I have. I'm talking on these subjects and a bunch of others. To do with health and other things. Yeah. And we're just growing. I mean, for me, it's about growing. There's my little card. Sorry, it's so scrappy. But we're just kind of growing in our way to work with our brothers and sisters. Because let me assure you, what's your name? Faris. Let me assure you that the only way that humanity rises is together. You see, so in like those Lord of the Rings stories and other stories, where until they come together, and the differences aside, or we may look different or be different or whatever, but there's one race, there's one human race, and it's that that I'm sort of pushing for and looking for, and trying not to get stuck in any dogma of any book, any papers or whatever. Yeah, and
The basics are us.
yes.
Come from.
Yes, and nature is so simple, really, and a blade of grass and a tree doesn't ask for permission to grow, and we should be allowed to grow and flourish without asking for licenses and permission from this control system. Yeah, and continually having our leaves trimmed to keep the government happy, but actually to stop you from flourishing, becoming the true giant of a tree that you were meant to become. You end up being a bonsai. How's that for a great metaphor I just thought of? Yeah. Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Interesting stuff.
Thank you. Have a
Can I
super
find your
life.
name? Can I-
Yes, Quest for Truth. Well, that's just, I use that name just for kind of fun. But actually, my YouTube name. Sorry, the card is Trinity4 is my YouTube. I have to do those cards again, but they cost me 20 quid, and
Thank you very much.
yeah.
How have you been received? Has it been?
Wow, mixed reception. We've got a few people that are really interested, just have open-minded people. Yeah, we've got a lot of people who think they have an open mind, but until you get to a certain point, they're like, ooh, yeah, and yeah. So you get the whole range, but you then eventually you start getting, okay, not so much on this tour, but like at Speaker's Corner in London, we get people coming back and say, hey, it's made a difference. Actually, I've noticed now, and I'm starting to pay attention and stuff like that. So in all different communities, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the best. Just a perfect day. Yay, red pill time.
You're on a spinning ball, a satanic spinning ball, and go back to sleep. Okay? I'm here to give you a red pill.
Well, it's a common reference. But have you ever seen curving water? Have you found that yet?
It's called a hibiscus.
Curving water.
It's called a hibiscus.
Hibiscus. Have you heard of surface tension? Okay.
No, that is good for self-intention. but-
Okay. So my friend. All right. So what's the largest water droplet you've ever seen? Like a perfect droplet. Yeah. What's the largest one? Okay. So because most people will say it's only about the size of a pea would be a perfect droplet, and actually it'll only be in a perfect droplet for a small part of its journey as it hits the floor. Once it hits the floor, it'll go flat and level. And if there's any largeness to that body of water, then that surface tension will no longer be a factor. So you see, when you go on a still lake in the morning, say, and you look over that lake and no one has disturbed it, you can see your reflection. Why? Because it's a mirror. It is so flat, it is a mirror. That's a matter of fact. In fact, they make mirrors on a lake of oil. They can make mirrors on a lake of oil, right? Why? Because that's super level. So a swimming pool, an Olympic swimming pool, end to end is level. The floor might not be level, but the top is level, right? So now I'm going to jump you up to the Suez Canal, 160 kilometers or 100 miles in length. That is provably level. So look, I'm 50, right? 3 years ago, I believed what you believe. All the same science. My 19-year-old daughter in university, I gave her all the stuff that I've given you, that you've been given, right? So I know all the science most of the science that you already know. But I've had to realize that, no, if I took 10 Suez Canals and put them back to back, I could take a ship on a straight line here to America. Why not? See, so you understand, hold on. You want me to model from your teardrop or your little droplet of water, you want me to go from that to a giant earth in one leap. I'm asking you to go from a cup of water to a pool, to a lake, to the between the English Channel, because England to France is provably flat. You can see the beaches on a clear day, right? Right? And that's 20, 30 miles. So now I've given you 100 miles. Why are you not letting me go 1,000 miles? That's not a very large leap of imagination. You've gone from a minuscule droplet that for a nanosecond will hold a perfectly spherical shape, perhaps, arguably not, but perhaps that. You're going to go for that and say from that I get to a massive ball which allows me to have rocks cling to it, as have ships sail on the underside of it, and imagine that they're still on a level surface. Let me assure you that when you think you see a ship going over the curve of the ocean, you cannot measure that curve, but you can explain it as perspective. Perspective says that the taller something is, the further you will see it from, right? So the top of the ship will go away last because that is the tallest part of the ship and therefore can be seen for the furthest thing. That's why the bottom goes first and the top goes last. Now, if you were on the beach and you saw that ship go over the curve, and then you jumped in a hot air balloon and went 100 meters up, bang, you would see that ship again. But if you lived on a ball, that should have continued over the curve and you would not be able to see it. So I'm contending to you that all of our provable evidence says that there's no measurable curve, there's no measurable curvature. It would make if I asked you to build a model of Earth, if you've ever been to a miniature town, the harbor or whatever, it's done on a level thing. You wouldn't, if I said build me an Earth on a ball, you'd say impossible because the ball, I have to wait till the ball's massive. Well, I'm saying to you, that's the religious part of gravity. That's a religious part of relativity, and special relativity is that it takes you from going, once something's so big, too big for you to imagine, like Santa Claus and the reindeer being able to fly around with dust on their backs, right? We were told the same stuff as the tooth fairy and that you can live on a ball. Well, we're adults and we went our whole lives not knowing this truth. But I'm bringing this to you, young friends, that with love, that actually the education system that I put my children through, my older children, not my youngest child, by the way, will not be vaccinated, will not be given a birth certificate, and will certainly not be going to a state indoctrination. Whilst I want them to be the most intelligent person they can be, I will not be sending them to school other than the best thing about school is your friends. That's the truth. The best thing about school is your friends. Why? Because they are messing with your mind. When I was your age, 10, 12, 13 years old, I was training the teachers. Listen, how can you say to me that Earth is going to be round and the water is going to cling to the ball when water is always level? That I was brought up on a beach and the water is always level. So they said to me, no, eventually it's going to be, okay, eventually I had to accept that, but it messed with my senses. Because you know what else messes with your senses? When you don't realize that you're not spinning. If you think that you're spinning at 800 miles an hour right now, but you can't see it. Lovely to chat to you, young man. What's your name? Lockie. You're a clever lad, man. You have a super life. Great questions. Stay well, stay well, stay well. Goodbye, goodbye. Hey, man. That's me. And any questions here? Any questions? Listen, man. I see you like skiing, right? You like skiing. You can go to go on YouTube.
Question. How do you model? Are you modeling like completely flat or thick?
Okay, so we live in obviously there is an element of depth. There's an element of depth.
Where is that? Just thick,
Yeah. So do you know how
some on the bottom then, yeah?
No, what things don't walk underneath things, right? I don't know what's below. Humanity has only drilled 8 miles into this crust, so we don't know what's below us.
What happened if you went all the way off?
Well, how do you know there's an off or an end? I don't know there's an end. Oh, we don't know.
It's modeled here, and then everything.
Okay. Well, this is okay. Okay. Can I explain this? Can I explain? This is commonly given to people to laugh at. This is called the azimuthal equidistant, and it suggests that it's like a dinner plate, and that there's going to be an edge, and that the water and people would fall off the edge. Well, that I don't think that's right. Actually, to be honest with you, I think that it's either going to be like some infinite plane that we don't know, that we can possibly not travel to yet, or we have traveled to. We got the technology, but it's been hidden from us. That is a possibility, or that there is some sort of barrier. Eventually it gets so cold or whatever that there's impossible for us to go to, and we don't know beyond that. But I'm not asking you to go home and say, these guys, I said to you that the Earth looks like this, because I don't accept that as being the true possibility. I think that where I've ever traveled in the world, the oceans have always been on the same sea level, that I will say, and that I've been to Africa, and I've been to America, and I've been to Europe, and I accept that other people have been to Australia, and so on. So I accept these places are there, and I accept that when you've got to fly 10 hours to get them, but the exact position of exactly where they sit, and then like where I come from in South Africa, here is Cape Town. You know, we've got one or two ships that are allowed to go down here. That's all they're allowed to do. They go in and out, and that's claimed to be our sort of involvement with Antarctica. Well, that's not. No one's ever gone underneath the ball. No one's ever flown underneath our ball. If it was true that we could, a billionaire, a Richard Branson character would have gone, yep, I'm going on this flight underneath or whatever, and it would be a provable fact, but it's not. And when they say they're going to 90 degrees, let me tell you that, like, when people go to, say, use North, you probably know, people go to Lapland. People go to Lapland to see Santa and shit like that, right? You know, they're not even getting to 66 north. That's still like 24 degrees still to the North Pole. And so I suggest to you that when they say, oh, you know, people have been to the North Pole, they've just picked a space 1,000 miles in from the coast and gone, that's the North Pole.
Okay, question.
I don't know.
What about the moon, right? It's relativity. You have to compare it to something to know what it is. So you're saying the Earth is its barrier gas, which goes onto planes.
Okay, yeah.
So if the moon is technically above us, right?
Yep.
You can see it.
Yep.
How do you know we're not like that?
But, okay, so I just...
That would be gravity.
Okay, so just my logic tells me that if I was to walk up the side of a wall, I'd have to be a spider. You know, so for something to be if we took the Earth and just even gave it a minor earthquake, right, a minor shake, you and I would fall to the ground probably quite quickly, because just that little bit of shaking would mess us up. So if I said to you, hey, why don't you walk up this wall here on the side there, and because of the attractive forces, we could take a small person and say, because of the attractive forces of that building, it's actually going to hold you, sort of hold you to that building. That's not how the reality works. The reality is that for me is there's only one up and down. Yes, the moon turns, but the moon rolls like a coin, right? This is what the moon does. It takes 24 hours to do one rotation. You can actually watch it and see how, like, to pick a point and watch over 24 hours how it actually rolls through the sky every night. I promise you, you'll see that. I've been observing this for 3 years now, and that's what we are not told about it. We're told it's in some sort of, what do they call it? Tidal locking. Do you know what tidal locking is? Yeah, can you explain it?
Well, essentially, I don't know if I'm going to get this.
Neither I can't, but you go ahead, try.
But, it's been a while since I've looked at astronomy.
You're an astronomer.
No,
I love that. Sorry, I'm putting this so close. It's not. I'm trying because the volume's poor, so I can't hear what you're saying.
Essentially, tidal locking, what happens is as two objects rotate, they kind of face each other the whole time. So if we were spinning in a circle, our faces would just always be facing each other. So the moon is like that with the Earth. So as it rotates around the Earth, it's just constantly facing us. It's the surface of the Earth the entire time. That's why we only ever see one side of the moon whenever we look up in the sky. Pluto and Charon, its moon, are like tidally locked. So if you were on Pluto or Charon, you would only ever see one side.
See, now I've heard you explain that, my friend, but I used to be able to say similar words. But now, if we actually try and between us, we get two bodies, like a moon and a sun, Earth, and we spin one on a 24-hour rotation, and we spin the other one because it's also on a 24-hour once a day rotation. Is that right? Am I right on that? The moon is turning once a day. That's the tidal locking effect. It has to be moving, right? Like let's try and let me try and model it for you. This is my face, like facing you. So either I'm turning or I'm not, because as you turn around, if you're the Earth, as you turn around, I'm going to have to keep my face pointing straight at you. That means that I can't be rotating.
No, you're still rotating, just very slowly. Right.
So if I ever rotated, then you would start to see the back of my head. If I ever rotated, yeah. But we've never seen the back of my head. And that's why I say I think it's only a coin. It's only a disc, and what it is turning through. It's like a light, and it's not that high.
Turning this way, right?
Yeah, and actually I can show that and measure that.
Then when it turns, right, you see the whole face, and it will just continue to turn. But you see parts of the moon. You can only see parts of the moon, right?
Depending on its phase, yeah, depending on the phase.
But no. If the coin's the same height
Yeah,
towards
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and it's staying that way
Yeah.
the whole time, and it's turning like that.
Uh-huh.
You can see the same face the whole time, so you wouldn't change your spin.
I wish I had a picture of. Oh, I have here. Yeah, a picture of the moon. Right. You see this here?
Yeah.
This is what I call the dragon's mouth,
Yeah.
and this is the dragon's eye. All right.
Yeah.
Now I can see this eye in this position at about 9 o'clock in the UK, 9 o'clock p.m. If I catch the moon at 5 in the morning, I swear to God that the eye will be down here, and if I get it early in the day, the eye will be here. Now you sound North American, so that means you're further across on the travel of this. So it actually, you will commonly see it like that, and then further around because it's later in its 24-hour rotation. I promise you, I wouldn't be saying this shit where I make myself look stupid. This is what's actually happening, is that this is making a 24-hour, I think it's 24 hours, but every day it's kind of doing the same thing. But you've got to be very patient because it's half the speed of your hour hand. So you've got to be able to see it over 6-8 hours.
I can see this right here, but what I'm talking about is a full moon, right?
Yeah.
You're saying that when there's a full moon,
Yeah.
and it's, okay, I don't know if it's like white cream, whatever, yeah, you know what I mean? You can see the whole
Yes,
circle.
yes, yes.
But then you can see don't
abandon me, guys, please. I need you.
Okay. Okay. Well, the issue of
I mean, like, it's a light you turn half on.
Yeah. Well, that is. It's all electromagnetic. So what I'm offering you here is that we're not material. We're not in a material world of rocks and gas giants. We're actually in an electromagnetic light, and it's an opposite light to the sun. If you measure the moonlight directly. Well, it's actually, I think it's affected by how close it is to the sun. So as it gets closer to the sun, it goes out, and then as it goes past the sun, or the sun past it rather, then you get the new moon coming again. And that's what I observe.
The sun, so when you're saying the sun's going past it,
Yes.
does that mean there, so we're here,
Yes. We're on the okay, imagine we're a football field. Yeah, imagine we live on a football field, and above our head we've got every day we've got like running 2 footballs of the same size, but on slightly different tracks and with slightly different speeds. Let's just say they're both at the same or similar kind of height. I don't want to get into the specifics of a model, because at the end of the day, right, until you realize that you've been lied to about the way that the whole world works, the specifics just become like points to argue over. And I don't want to have strawmans about stuff like that. What I can tell you for sure is that we've measured the moonlight, and we find that the moonlight is colder than in the shadow of the moonlight, which is the opposite of the sun. The sun is a very warm light, and if the sun is meant to be reflecting off the moon, I can assure you, I see it up in day. I see like a half moon, and with the sun up and a half moon in the sky, I'm like, how is that possible? You know, it should be glaring. And if the boys went to the moon, you should watch this documentary. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon, right? This guy called Bart Chabrel, and he interviews a bunch of people, and he shows you documentary evidence of them faking them being halfway from the moon. Then you see the interview when they first come back. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and so on. Their first interview as they come back, they look like guilty men. I promise you. At 46, 3 years ago, I saw this documentary and I was like, shit. If I'd seen this at 18, I would have believed people that they never went to the moon, for starters. But I never believed in I always believed in the moon landings. But then you go and look at the stuff that the BBC won't show you, and then documentary channels and Nat Geo. These are all government control agencies. There's no way they can give you this anywhere near this kind of theory, but to make fun of it. Now, we know that water is level and horizontal. If you take a bottle of water and you shake it like this, you go down to the ocean and you see the sea level across the front of you, and you take that bottle and you twist that bottle, the water within that bottle will remain parallel with the water of the body of water in front of the ocean in front of you, because every lake on Earth is going to take the same parallel level. It might be higher than the sea level, but water is always going to find one level. That's why all buildings on the Earth are using the same spirit level with the same water level. If you had to build one building and just keep going, it's like going on a plane. I took this is a digital. 1 second. One second. I took a digital. I'm busy talking, so please allow me. Well, if you'll allow me to finish, then I'll get your question. Now, here's the thing. 2-3 years ago, I took a digital spirit level onto an airplane. I zeroed it on the ground, and I monitored the entire length of my flight. And the plane stayed with its nose in a 1.5 degree up attitude the entire cruising time. And when we hit the channel, it came down to 0.5 degree, and so we started descending. Now that's a plane flying on a plane, staying level for the entire duration of its flight. If we live on a ball, that plane should have to be dipping its nose down to account for about 1/2 mile of curvature every few minutes. But we would know in our bum, we would know if we were going down. Once we're at level flight.
Snipers who are firing over 4 kilometers take into account the curvature of the Earth.
I'm a long-range sniper, sir. In fact, I fired a 90mm cannon in war in 1987. I published a book that Prince Harry has a copy of. I have a record of that fact. I gave it to Prince Harry 3 years ago, and it is a fact that I used to fire long-range weapons 2 miles in distance, and the only thing we had to allow for was the drop due to the weight of the projectile and windage. If there was windage to account for, we would allow for that, but there is no spin of the Earth.
That snipers take account of the Earth's curvature.
I'm telling you that snipers take allowance for the turning of the ether. There is an ether on our Earth. There is an ether on our Earth that's been denied by your scientists, but the fact is that the ether was measured by the interferometer experiments done by Michelson and Morley and Michelson and Gale in the early 19th, late 19th and early 20th century. And what they measured was the ether turning at 4 to 5 miles an hour, and this is what they allow for.
Experiments are generally thought to have disproved the existence of the ether.
And what about the Aries failure? What do you think of that one?
About what?
Aries failure.
Well, let's talk about Michelson Morley.
Well, I was talking about them, but we don't agree. We don't agree. I'm telling you that proves that the Earth is not spinning, and it proves that there is an ether which is moving and turning. It's an electromagnetic force, and it is that force that is what is powering your magnet in your compass.
So you believe in electromagnetism?
Yes, I do. I know electromagnetism because we measure it.
But you don't
Believe in gravity? No, because gravity is an unproven theory.
But electromagnetism
Is measurable. Well, we can measure electrostatic forces between bodies.
Cannot be measured.
No, of course not. No, well, of course I'm not being ridiculous, sir. I'm just no longer brainwashed. Yes, that old chestnut. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, if you want to continue living in your Disney-created version of how the world works, sir, go right ahead. I don't really mind. But I'm here to tell people that the Earth is absolutely flat. Water is level. Have you heard of the phrase, water level? Have you heard of the phrase, sea level, sir? Have you heard that phrase?
Hey, Matt.
You've heard the phrase sea level? Now I'm giving you ocean level. Oceans are a level that you can go from England to France. You can see from England to France on a clear day. That's 20 and 30 miles. Where is the curvature? You can see the Isle of Wight. I've seen Africa from Spain. Now that would be impossible if we lived on a spinning ball. The world record photograph is 400 kilometers long over flat water. If we lived on a spinning ball, that ball would have curved by 3 miles. 3 miles we would have curved in the short space of 400 kilometers. And if you travel from here to America, you should have to drop down 1,000 miles if you lived on a magical Disney creation called spherical Earth. Water is always level. Water will remain flat and level with the horizon, no matter how you turn the bottle or the container that it is in. My friends, the science that proves that the Earth is not moving has been hidden from you. The only thing that you get is lies and computer-generated photographs from NASA. NASA have been caught out lying. Their spacewalks are conducted in a desalinated swimming pool. We see bubbles rising from the spacewalks, and you will never, ever see an astronaut do a 360 in space. Why? Because they don't want you to see the back wall. The spacewalks are being faked in a swimming pool, and when you think that they're in zero gravity, they are on a harness. Tim Peake, go watch his interview on Channel 4. When he went up to space, he looked like a monkey doing a circus trick. My friends, the truth is that your reality has been created for you by your lying, deceiving government. They created your education system. They created your nutrition system. They created your system of medicine and banking designed to rob you of your true divinity. The Twin Towers, the American event on 9/11, was designed to frighten the populace. H.L. Mencken, the well-known philosopher, says that the purpose of government, the sole purpose of government, is to create a never-ending series of hobgoblins with which to frighten the boys and girls. And right here, I see people who want to be frightened and remain shouting for their government, supporting their state indoctrination, supporting the pills that your drug-dealing government will push on you. My friends, water is level. If you think you're spinning at 800 miles an hour, pal, you are crazy. And if you think that rocks can float in the sky. You think that the moon is a rocket and floating in the sky on time and space? Now that I've told it to you, you've got rocks in your head. Rocks do not float in the sky. Things go up and they have to come back down. You need to realize there is only one up and there's only one down on this earth. Water is always level. Water will always find its level. It will settle at its lowest point and remain level until disturbed. As I said to you earlier, water level, sea level, ocean level, there is only one level. If you think that ships are going over the curve of the ocean, if you think that you can see curvature from your airline, you are still being brainwashed. The fact is that perspective ensures you think that that ship went over the ball, but if you think that ship went over the ball, tell me what the measurement is, clever guy. Tell me. That's not enough. Yes! The earth is flat. Brother knows the truth. Knows the truth. What if, sir, that you were the sovereign, divine king of... I have no belief. I have no belief. My friend, you are the one who believes in gravity. Gravity is the religion. The biggest religion on earth today is relativity and the special needs requirements of special relativity. There is no proof at all that gravity exists, my friend. Just because you can drop a stone on the floor does not mean that water can cling to a ball. Come on. Now that I'm pointing it out on you, I'm asking you to go home. Turn off the pornography, turn off the cookery shows, turn off the sport. Wanking over your fucking favourite football fan, your football player, is a waste of your energy. Go home and do some research for yourself. Your government has lied to you. Your government has lied to your educators. Your professors have been lied to. They were simply the kids that got the A in class, and they went on to teach you and brainwash your children into believing they were nothing but a Darwinian speck. You think that your parents, your great-grandparents were monkeys and apes? You think that you emerged from the slime like a slug? You think that? You think you came from monkeys? You think you came from Africa? You think your forefathers were once black? Do you believe that bullshit? You were created perfect. Each of you, in your own color and in your own creed, you are created perfect. But your government around the world is a franchise, and all of them are in bed together to fuck you over. I'm here to tell you, excuse me, I'm sorry about it. I'm here to tell you that your government has lied to you at every level. You are divine beings of light, and you deserve every opportunity to have the most fantastic experience. But while you think that you are a tiny ant living on a space ball that's going to get wiped out like Disney's dinosaurs. Remember, dinosaurs are created by Disney, right? They're not real either, children. Nor is fake, nor is peak oil real. There is a lot of lies you need to go and find out. The Muslims are not your enemy. The Muslims are not your enemy. The Jews are not your enemy. The control system that stands above you, that forces you to pay taxes, that forces you to register the birth of your child, that forces you to take vaccinations and eat shitty food and watch shitty TV. That's the people that are the criminals here. Those are the people that you need to say, hey, enough, no more. We're not going to stand for this. It's going to take a while for some of the children to catch up. But I'm telling you here, my friends, if this makes sense to you, go home, go do the research. If not, go back to your football. I don't believe in spinning balls, my friend. I do not believe in gravity. I believe that the earth is flat simply because water, provably, physics is flat. That's the bottom line. You live on a spinning ball, my friend. I can't help you.
No, we don't. Maybe travel watch.
There you go, my friends. Have a super day. Have a super life. Go home. Start researching the truth about who and what you are. Do not believe your lying, thieving, stealing government. They will take your life, they will poison you, and they will give you nothing when it comes to your retirement. Of course, you get a lot of people who find this very hard to hear. Very hard to hear. You got some questions, my friend?
Isn't there history of this idea that someone proposed it as a debate? So like they made an idea that was
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah, hard to deny.
It's hard for me to say like 100% is because I haven't
Yeah.
had people who have come up and seen the curve.
Yeah.
Neither have you.
No, but lots of people, lots of people have woken up over the last 3 years. Lots of people have sent high altitude balloons to 20, 21 miles. And when we take those cameras up there, that ain't fisheye lenses, right? Regular cameras up there, we find that the everything we see is level and flat. The horizon continues to right to the eye. If we lived on a ball, the horizon would drop down with that ball. Can you measure, genius? Can you measure the curvature? No, you can't. No, you can't. I know. Off you go home. Your Netflix is waiting.
What do you think about the Queen, mate? Is she a lizard?
No, she's a human being. I can't say more than that. I'm not into the David Icke stuff.
Life there, sir.
It is a bag for life.
I think that's a seasonal bag myself.
Thank you.
It's not for
Any other questions?
just for Christmas.
Yeah. If you like. Yeah.
I just think it's getting a bit sort of.
Rowdy.
Well, I think actually getting a bit close than that.
Of telling people the earth is round, because there's always
Yeah.
always a reason.
Well, you know what? You could ask your science teacher why she came and taught you science, because she wanted to make people better, I'm sure, or he wanted to make. And I guess religious folks, when they go around preaching their religion, they do it because they genuinely believe they're going to make the world a better place. So I think that once you liberate the mind, and this has been my experience over 3 years now, I'm 50, and 3 years ago I didn't know this stuff, but in 3 years I have become a better man. So
What I mean is, like, what's the objective behind telling people the earth is round as opposed to?
because it's kind of like a spank in the face so hard that some people go shit. And you know why? The thing is, like 9/11, a lot of people go, oh yeah, whatever, but water is level. That's it. There is no curving water on Earth. And the spin thing, well, we can't measure spin and we can't feel spin and we don't see evidence of spin. So with those two little bits in your bag, you go, so how can you possibly believe you live on a spinning ball? So if you were to play football on a round surface or on a flat pitch, I know which game I'd prefer to watch and which would be easier to play. So I'm saying your life would be easier if you lived on a flat pitch, because you get your senses back. You know left from right, you know up from down, because people come here and tell me that there is no such thing as up and down. You know, relativity states that everything is up, everything is down, you know, so you know, it messes with your mind, my brother. And my wife took 2 years lying next to me in bed going, oh, honey, the earth is flat and it's freaking important. Excuse my swearing earlier. It's very important, and you know, 2 years she said it doesn't matter. And then when a year ago she like it's snapped for her. She's like a better woman. She knows that she's looking for her divine feminine essence and so on. And this is what I'm trying to seek here, is my divine masculine. Those boys here with all the mouth and so on, that's the alpha male mindfuckery that's going on in our society that creates this sort of thuggery, football thuggery mindset, right? Now I come from South Africa, where I was made to go to war, national service. I actually was in war, in tank battles in Angola in 1987, for real. I was brought up around rugby and stuff, so I've had all of that. And I've come through that and going, you know what, there is a much better way for us all to be with one another. It doesn't have to be this Darwinian dog-eat-dog. But while you live on a spinning ball that could be struck by asteroid dog, but while you live on a spinning ball that could be struck by asteroids any minute, that you need your government to protect you from that existential threat or some other thing, then yeah, you're going to continue to give away your power. Now I know that I'm at the top of the pyramid along with all of us. And for that reason, I'm willing to say to others, take back your power. And I'm not getting, I don't sell anything from this. I don't get paid to do this. I just do this and starts to regain their own true divinity, then shit, your life will be awesome and those around you will benefit from it in the fullness of time. Hey, and maybe in years to come, our entire society moves away from that kind of mindless, blokes need to be mindless thugs. I'm not saying all blokes are like that, of course I'm not. And all women need to be either, you know, sort of Britney Spears slaggery or, you know, subservient kind of Sheila's sitting in the kitchen all day long, you know. So I'm offering people a liberation beyond the flat earth. You know, the flat earth is just the board. You know, you got to kick the board over and start looking at it all over again. But just because you now know the board is flat doesn't mean you know everything. It's only the start of the game. You're starting the game knowing something that's absolutely essential as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. All the best, brother. What's your name? Dan. I'm Dave. Can I just shake your hand? Thank you, Dan. Good life, eh? All the best. Hi.
I'm a little bit confused.
Yes, that's okay.